Hey everybody, welcome back to the Brandy Yvonne channel. Of course, I'm your girl, Brandy Yvonne. Here on my channel, we do fun reviews, recaps, and discussions of all of our favorite shows, y'all. This video, we are talking Netflix hit show, or if y'all want to call it a hit, it's a hit though. Love is Blind, season 6, episodes 10 and 11, y'all. I'm a few days late, but I'm here. It's not really late, as long as we get it in before the next one comes out, we good. Anyway, y'all, let me know what y'all thought of these last two episodes. They were given a little bit, but not really much. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share to this channel. Shout out to the new subscribers. Comment down below. If you are a new subscriber, let me know where you at. Say hey, and I'll say hey back. All right, let's get into these episodes. So child, let me silence my devices. So we're not gonna go in no particular order. Like, I'm not gonna separate episode 10 from episode 11. That's too much. We're just gonna have a regular old good old conversation about the episodes. Okay, so let's do that. So I believe we just kind of see everybody like at home. Um we do see, well, the first scene we see in episode 10 is Jeremy meeting up with his mama, right? And I almost forgot about this scene because he wanted to tell his mom what happened with Laura. Now he took the dog to the dog park or wherever they went. So he's telling his mom, how he met up with Sue Ann. And yes, I know her name is Sarah Ann, but on Twitter I was calling her Sue Ann for her behavior. So Sue Ann, no, Sarah Ann. He met up with Sarah Ann. He tells mom basically, I went up to meet her, talked to her. She was at the bar. Me and her talked. She said she lived 8 minutes from the bar. So I told her I'd give her a ride home. That was it. And ended up coming home at 6 in the morning. So Jeremy's mom was looking like, I know my son is full of BS. That's the look on Jeremy mama's face, and that's what I should have put in the background here instead of this picture. But the look on Jeremy's mama's face said, I know you are full of it. Okay. So she said, you lucky it wasn't me, because if it was me, I would have sitting there in the living room waiting on you to come home. Okay. And so she was like, yeah, how do you think she would feel? You need to consider that. She was like, you should have talked to me, called me first. I could have told you was moving wrong. He's like, well, I didn't plan to do this. And she was like, well, now I'm not going to have a daughter-in-law. Jeremy mama was through with Jeremy. She said, I knew he was an F-boy when I raised him. So anywho, she was over it. So Jeremy and Laura, we could just, call it a wrap on them, y'all. At some point we saw Johnny and Amy sitting around at the house talking about, the stuff for the wedding. Amy wants to have a picture of her grandparents there because they passed away. They meant a lot to her. Johnny, did I call him Jeremy? Johnny. It's too many J's. The Johnny, Jeremy, Jimmy. It's too many of them. So anywho, he's fine with that. She said something about she want to hyphenate her name because that's what they do in her culture. He's good with that. He said he's not tripping. He said the kids, would have his last name. So fine. So then they got on a stupid old birth control topic, which I am tired of having this discussion about. I don't understand. Like, Johnny, you can wear a condom until y'all decide y'all ready. Or what? Like, pull out. Like, what y'all need to do? What y'all need to do? So he said he researched the whole bisectomy thing. It's not as easy as he thought. He didn't realize what all went into it. Also, it's not as easy to reverse as he thought it was. I'm just like, okay, Johnny. What do you want to happen here? So then he telling us, in his confessional, like, the process of getting a bisectomy. He's like, he didn't know about this sex education class and all that. I'm like, Johnny, please stop. So then she was like, I am researching the whole birth control thing. She said, this is something I was, considering doing before I even met you, before I even went in this process. I have to look at, the risk factors and what I'm putting into my body because of my condition. Now, I don't remember Amy sharing a condition that she has with us. If y'all know what Amy's condition is, please let me know in the comments. But I don't remember her mentioning her having like a medical issue or a condition. And if that's the reason she's not on birth control, then really shame on you, Johnny, for that. Like, just put a condom on and go on and get it popping. So anywho, enough of that. Then we see Chelsea and Jimmy. So Chelsea and Jimmy, I guess they were sitting in the bed or the sofa. They were sitting in the bed with their clothes on. That's what they was doing. They were sitting in the bed, and Chelsea was saying something to him like about her being grumpy in the morning. He didn't like that, joking around. And she said, "Yeah, you came home late last night, and where were you?" He's like, "I went down to the bar real quick, you know." And so she was like, "Yeah, the girls from the pod said you were there," and they were like, "Girl, yo man here, where are you?" And she's like, "Yeah, I didn't like that." And he's like, "What girl from the pods?" And then she's like, "Mackenzie." I says, "Always that damn Mackenzie running her mouth." So he was like, "I don't even know Mackenzie like that." And so she was like, "No, but you going out to the bars." Like, I don't want to be with somebody who just be going out to the bars like that. So then he was like, "But I told you in the past, like I like to go out and have a little cocktail one time or two." So then she was like, "No, you didn't say that in the past. That's not, that's what I signed up for. I'm not gonna be putting up with that. That's not, I don't want to be with somebody who's just going to the bar every night and all this." And I was like, "Girl, what?" Like, he ain't even doing all that. So then I'm like, first of all, the fact that I gotta sit up here and defend Jimmy every time from Chelsea is madness. Okay, first of all, what's his name? Jimmy. Jimmy did say in the pods. Now I remember he was talking to Chelsea or Jessica or both, but I remember him. I'm pretty sure he said it to Chelsea actually. I remember him saying, "I like to go down to the wine bar and the cocktail bar and have drinks with the friends. I like to drink socially." He said that in the pods. He liked to go down to the cocktail bars, how he said it specifically. So I'm like, "Girl, that's what he said he liked to do." She's like, "No, you didn't say that in the pods. You didn't say that in the pods." She's like, "I don't want to be with someone who's going out to the bar. That's not what I signed up for. That's not working on the marriage. I'm sitting here at home working on the marriage, and you're out all times of night." And he's like, "What are you talking about? Like, what?" She was like, "So where were you last night? What were you doing last night?" And he was like, "I went out to the bar to have a drink with a friend. I was only going like an hour and a half. That's it." And so this conversation keeps evolving to other issues. So then she was like, "Yeah, you were with your girlfriends." And he was like, "Okay, is this about my girlfriends? Like, what is this about? Because you want to have a conversation about the girlfriends, we can have a conversation about the girlfriends." Then I think at some point she said, "You was out, you saw Jessica." He was like, "I did not see Jessica. Like, I put that on everything." I think that was towards the end of the conversation. So then he was like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You don't even know what we're talking about. We're not on the same page. Like, that's not good." He's like, "Okay, well, we ain't on the same page because I don't know what issue you talking about." And I was like, "Child, I don't either." So then she was like, "What do you do all day? Who are you with all day? What do you do when you're, not here?" Or something like that. He's like, "I be working." Like, "What you talking about?" Like, "Who you be texting?" And he was like, "Okay, well, you be gone." And she was like, "Yeah, when I'm out of town with my friends, and then I'm hearing about you or hanging out with your friends, and I don't like that. How do you think that makes me feel? Like, how, what are you up to? What are you doing?" And then he was like, "Well, you told me you didn't have a problem with my friends. Are you telling me you got a problem with my girls?" Like, because he has that group of friends that are girls, so that we met. So he's like, "You have a problem with my girlfriends? Like, let me know, because that's not you, that that wasn't an issue." And she's like, "No, I've already told you, like, I don't want you to, I need you to stop spending time with them, spend more time with me, all that." So then he was like, "Well, you never asked me to, like, pull back on spending time with them. Is that what you're saying? Because you never asked me that." And she's like, "Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I want you to pull back on spending time with them." So he said, "No, I'm not going to be doing that." I was cracking up at that part. I said, "Jimmy, not you want her to say you wasn't going to do it anyway." But I agree with Jimmy because she doing the most. However, Jimmy, you didn't tell us. We had to find out through Chelsea's craziness that you slept with one of them ladies. So now we have a problem with you, Jimmy. So anywho, then Chelsea is going off. They're going back and forth. And she was like, he was like, "It's not like I slept with one of them. Like, what's the problem?" She's like, "Oh no, but you did, because you told me that you effed her. You told me you effed her." So then he's like, "Oh, like, girl, the way he looked, like he's like, no." Like, "You were supposed to say that on camera, girl. Like, you do too much." And so then he was like, "No, like, I told you I told you this off camera. I didn't want to talk about this. Like, she decided to come on the show, and I need to protect her. It was just a one-time thing. We decided to be friends." Like, I told you I didn't want to talk about this. She was like, "I don't care. Like, you over here lying and you spending time with them while I'm out of town, and I don't like that. You need to be honest." So she's just going on, having this meltdown like she always do, talking in circles, not making sense. I still feel sorry for Jimmy. Did she bring up Jessica at that point? And then he's like, I didn't see Jessica. He's like, the only time I saw Jessica is when Jeremy sent me a picture. Of course he did. So he's like, I swear on everything, I ain't seen Jessica. And so then he was like basically he over it. She said she gonna go sleep at her house tonight. So then he went over there and brushed his teeth aggressively, and then she went there to talk some more. They still talking in circles, and he's like, are you basically saying, she's like, no, I don't feel like you're really being here for me. I don't feel like I can trust you. Now, mind you, she's drunk as well. So he's like, well, you drunk, you're over here saying that I don't love you and you don't trust me and all that. And he's like, but I've been proving to you, like, you made my parents, we done did all this. And like, if you don't think that I love you and I keep telling you, I keep trying to show you, then that's a problem. Then I'm, looking at you differently. Like, if you're just saying this and you really feel that way, that's one thing. But if you're just drunk and you're saying this and you want to apologize, then we can go from there. But she was not trying to apologize. She ended up leaving, I guess. But I was like, how'd she leave? She been drinking. But to me, she wasn't giving that drunk. Oh, Chelsea girl. I don't know. I just don't know. Like, she needs some help. Like, girl, you be just getting mad for no reason. Like, and he said she be going out with her friends too. Like, girl, it's not like Jimmy out in the bars all the time. Like, I'm not getting that from Jimmy. Now, unless we missing something, we're going to hear about it at the reunion. But I don't think Jimmy is just down to the bar with his friends all the time. He said he was with some of his frat brothers and two of their girlfriends were there. Like, although his story was evolving. Well, the thing is, I was gonna say his story was evolving, but really her argument, she was mad at, kept evolving. So then I no longer could follow what the hell was going on, and I think Jimmy felt the way we all did, right? Anyway, she left, and then I think the next day she came back, and then the later scene, and they talked it out. And he said he didn't want to marry her if this was, if she didn't trust him. And she said, she's not trusting that he loves her and what he's saying. And he was considering not marrying her. And she did apologize. And she said, you have to understand how I feel. You know how Chelsea does it. She's just emotionally manipulative, in my opinion. Ultimately they worked it out, and she said, you can't be coming over here in those pants. You look so good in those pants. I was like, girl, in them sweats. Anyway, okay, girl. But they worked it out, y'all. Ooh, child. He said he vowed that he wouldn't leave the house again like he did the other day. So he said he fights for his girls. He wouldn't be here if he didn't fight for her. He really fighting for her. I feel like Jimmy is being genuine, or he's just a really, really good actor. I feel like he's trying. Like, I really feel like he's like, okay, I made my bed, I'm going to lay in it. I really do feel like that. Okay. So I think before this argument is when we did see them meet the parents. And I skipped that scene. And that scene was cool. I mean, the parents are just talking about, when they first met and how they didn't like each other, certain things about each other. They wrote down a list. The dad didn't like that she was a pack rat and she nagged him. And when I saw the parents, I said, Chelsea fits better with her family. I couldn't see Jessica there. I couldn't see Jessica there. Chelsea makes more sense. No shade. It's no shade. The sister said, she's the little sister, the baby sister, he's the baby brother and all that. And they're asking her about, marriage, because she's been married again and all that. They liked her. They said the mom really liked her, said she seems like a genuine person. She could already tell that, that she's good for Jimmy and all that good stuff. So the family meeting went really, really well from them. Okay, we'll talk about Johnny and Amy meeting Amy's dad, then we'll talk about AD and Clay. So we see Johnny and Amy, they look like they're in the woods somewhere. I think they were at a restaurant or something. I don't know. They were sitting down in a picnic in the park or something. And Amy's dad came. And so Amy's dad just spoke so highly of Amy. It was a really beautiful scene. And he was asking Johnny what he did for a living. Johnny said he does like software sales, and he eventually wants to move up to like being like a corporate executive and all this stuff. But right now he's just, he grinding away and all that. And he essentially asked Amy's dad for his hand and, approval of marrying his daughter. And he did say yes. He said it is hard, the process for him, but he did say yes. Now, from the previews, I thought he was going to say no, or I thought this was going to be a contentious scene, but it really wasn't. It was a beautiful scene. And Johnny said he wants to make sure there's no issues there because he is coming into the family, and being something different. He knows it's going to take time for everyone to get used to and all that. And I like the way he articulated that situation. So anyway, Amy's dad approves of Johnny so far, so that's good. Then we did see AD and Clay. So they had one scene at the house, and then they had another scene where they went to meet her mom. I believe they went to meet the mom first, if I'm not mistaken. So they did go meet the mom, and AD's telling her, how she has something set up for her and Clay, like a DIY thing, and she had wrote out 25 reasons why she likes him or loves him or something like that. But he didn't come home because of work, so she hadn't seen him since the previous day. So mom was like, I don't know, girl. So then she said, the mom saying she hadn't heard AD speak about him and the way she was speaking about him. So Clay came up, and they're all talking, and so the mom's like, oh, look at here. I was like, oh, mama like what she saw. So then Clay starts talking about how he feels like he was really, meant to be there. She's like, you mean in the process, or what do you mean? And so he's like, he means in the process and there with AD. He feels like he's meant to be there with AD. He said his mom gave him the verse, the Proverbs. It's a 3 and 5 or 3 and 55. I'm gonna have to pull my Bible out to clarify, but y'all know the one about trusting in God, not leaning into your own understanding, and lean on God's understanding. Trust the Lord with all your ways; He would direct your path. Y'all know the verse, right? So, anywho, so he threw that out again. Remember, he threw it out in the pods when he proposed. So, anywho, so AD's mom was like, "Yep, she was eating it up. She was eating it up," and so he was saying how his parents were together 25 years, and his mom and dad, his dad cheated on his mom. I think he said his dad cheated on the mom 7 years within the marriage, and how that didn't work out and they got a divorce, and he doesn't know if he can move correctly the way he needs to be, and that scares him and worries him. So the mom, now what I did like about this part with her, and I like 80's mom in general, but what I like about it, even though Clay has his issues and we don't see it for Clay and AD, there's something about the relationship I do actually like, and I'll get to that in a second. But what I did like about what what AD's mom said, was that she said, you don't need to worry about what your parents did. Like, your parents, 25 years of marriage, they had a good run. Me and AD's dad, he's passed on now. We were together. We divorced. I think she said 14 years. And yeah, we had a good run. But, at the end of the day, we made our mistakes. We made our failures. We're human. But you don't need to take on, that's our mess, basically. You don't need to take on our mess from our failed marriages. You need to make, your situation with AD your own. You don't need to worry about, like, basically what your parents did, and let that be, like, at the forefront of your mind. Like, forget all of that. Like, their problems are their problems. They're not your problems. And so she said, of course, you guys gonna have your issues. Women and men were different. Women can do so many different things at one time. Like, you may leave the toilet seat up and you didn't realize it, and all this stuff. And so Clay did appreciate what she said. He said no one's ever, explained it to him in that way. That's why you need to go to therapy, Clay, because a therapist would have told you the same thing. Like, let your parents' issues, your dad's failures be his. And I think because he looked up to his dad and emulated his dad so much, I think what he's ultimately afraid of is that he's going to end up like his dad. But at the end of the day, you are going to end up like your dad if you don't get some therapy to help you untwist some of those thoughts in your mind you have, and reduce some of the anxiety you have. You are going to end up doing what you saw your dad do, essentially. And because you're working so hard not to do it, you might ultimately do it, like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? I'm no therapist or nothing, but I feel like, and I hate to say this, Clay does have potential, but we can't be dating potential in our 30s, AD girl. I'm sorry, but it's the only hope of black love we have on the show. So I'm a root for it, even though I want better for my girl, but I'm a root for it. But like Clay, if Clay could get out of his head, and if Clay can get some therapy, and if Clay could not worry about what his parents had going on, I think he could be a good guy. I do think that. I have hope for them, but like I said, it's not the best situation. But it's all we got. So we got what we got, y'all. So anywho, he had went away from the table. I'm assuming producers told him so too. Like the mom, she did say he's a stand-up guy. She said, AD, she's never heard AD say this before, but she said she could follow that man. You can follow Clay, girl. Okay. And so she said, that's a good man right there. He's just very scared on how to move forward. And he is. So anyway, later on, we do see Clay and AD at the house. AD is doing the dishes. Clay is calling about the jet skis and stuff. He has a business. And so then he's asking AD when she has to go to work. And so she said she doesn't have to be there till like 4. So he's telling her where to park. I guess I'm assuming for the lake house scene that's coming up. I'm assuming he probably helped get the jet skis and stuff. And so I'm hoping he was able to promote his business through all this. So anywho, or maybe he had, was able to get a contract with Love is Blind for this event and this scene. So that's cool. He's asking her about her sisters coming. So she said her sisters are coming for the dress fitting. And so he's like, okay, that's Saturday, right? I was like, look at him telling us all the scenes coming up. So then she said they had to do their marriage license application, and there was a part saying, asked about your parents, and I guess she had to mark deceased for her dad, and so she couldn't do it, and so he did it for her. And he said, dang, that's surreal. And then he was saying something about, man, like, I feel like, this thing all goes on in one date, and, I feel like that's really hard. And he's like, it's like, I want to be in this, I want to do this, but why do we have to stick to this one day? He said he'd been watching episodes of Love is Blind and feels like those men knew what to say, they knew what to do, feels like they were, strong men, they were ready for marriage and all this stuff. And I was like, first of all, what seasons of Love is Blind were you watching? Unless it was what's his name, Cameron from episode 1. Like, what seasons was you watching? Because none of them had it going on. And none of them are perfect. And you're not going to be perfect, Clay. Like, you're going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes. As long as you try to have good judgment, heed to wisdom, you will be okay. But like, you can't look at those people and compare yourself. It's different time, okay? Different season. It's different. I'm like, what season was he watching? Because no, none of them people had it together, okay? None of them. So anyway, he's talking about, he don't know about it just being a specific date, like saying yes to marriage. And she was like, well, I'm not really stuck on a day either. Like, if we were to say no on wedding day, like, I would get over it. Like, I'm sure I'd be fine. And she was like, and we can move forward from there. However, I don't really feel, she said she does want to go along with the process. And basically she said, I don't want to just be dating. I'm not comfortable just dating you after wedding day either. And I'd rather go along with the process and be true to the process. So like, she kind of was open to it, but really she not open to it. Like, it's, it's a decision day for a reason, Clay. Like, what are you saying, sir? Anywho, I think that was all like the major scenes before we got down to this lake house scene. Well, the whole lake house is a fool. So anyway, we get down to the lake house. We got Laura, we got Amy and Johnny, we got Jimmy and Chelsea coming with her leather jacket on. She the only one out there with a jacket. I was like, well, maybe it's cold, but she was the only one with a jacket, unless everybody else was trying to be cute. And Chelsea said she ain't about to be cold. She probably thought it was gonna be cold though. But girl, you could have left your jacket in the car. So anywho, like I said, Jimmy, Chelsea, who else came? Johnny, Amy, Laura. They was like, girl, AD, girl, where your man at? She said he's working, but he coming. All right, so they asking Laura, like, AD did this true scrunchy thing. They asking Laura what happened. She said she ain't talked to him. They're like, girl, you gonna get the ring back? She's like, no. I think she's talking to Jessica about the ring. And so she's basically telling them what happened. She's like, when it comes to Sue Ann, I don't respect her as a woman. At the end of the day, she should not have been DMing Jeremy. But at the end of the day, also Jeremy made those mistakes as the man that I'm married to. So like, she don't respect what Sarah Ann did, but at the same time, she's not holding on her anger towards Sarah Ann. She's angry at Jeremy because he was the one that's supposed to make her happy. But she's right. So then we do see Trevor came at one point. He cut his mullet, so Chelsea got to meet him. She's like, oh, he beefy. She said that's the type of guy she usually goes for. Girl, we know. Why didn't you go for him? We also see Jessica and Mackenzie come, okay? And so Jimmy, she's about to shake Jimmy's hand, and he gave her a little side hug. She said, oh, not this church hug. So we see Trevor. Trevor's like, why is it looking like middle school? Because the men and the women were separated, right? Jeremy came with his Hawaiian shirt on, as you can see. As you can see back there, he had that Hawaiian shirt on. He said, Dave was like, oh, you came with your Hawaiian shirt? He's like, yeah, of course. I'm ready to get on some people's nerve. Basically what he said, he ready to get into it. Oh, I say you walking up here all smug, Jeremy. Oh, Jeremy get up on nerves. So anywho, um, him and Laura, they was in each other's spaces, not talking to each other at all, right? Laura had told the girls like he don't desire for no one to interact with him. She want him to go kick some rocks with no shoes on. I said, okay, girl. So we did see a conversation with Trevor and Chelsea finally, and Jimmy was all looking when they hugged too. Did y'all see that? So Trevor was saying, like, I do have one question for you. I'm still confused on your decision. And she said, it's really hard in the pots and all this stuff. She was like, oh, you cut the mullet. Like, I can't believe it. He's like, no, I'm sorry. And, they talk about how they follow each other on Instagram as soon as the pods process ended. And so he said, I still have a question though. Like, I want to ask you that same question. Like, if I would have came in first, would you have chosen me? So I think in this scene, she said, no, things still would have played out the same because like up until that point, he still was number one, but then whatever happened. But then in the pod, she said she was silent. And I think that she would have chose Trevor if he came in first. I think that. But you know what? I could be wrong, but because thinking about it, I think she only chose Jimmy because Jessica was after Jimmy. I think that was the real reason she chose Jimmy was the competition thing, right? Because she knew what Jessica looked like and she wanted to win. She didn't really have no competition with Trevor, even though Trevor was her type, and Trevor looked better than Jimmy, if we want to be honest. But Jimmy and Chelsea both played themselves, right? So, but maybe they do belong together. Maybe they do. So, anywho, um, he, was saying, they're just basically saying, they're always gonna be good and friends and blah blah blah. Jeremy, they hugged it out, and Jimmy came over there and kissed Chelsea on the cheek, and he's like, "Oh, can you give me one too, bro?" So Jimmy gave him a kiss and a hug. Anywho, then we do see AD finally came at some point. Okay, hey AD. I mean Clay came. Clay came at one point. He greeted AD. Hey, welcome back, Clay. um then we do finally see a conversation between Laura and Jeremy. And so Jeremy said he hasn't had contact with Laura in like 4 days. Last time he talked to her, she was sounding very crazy and angry. So he's kind of scared to reach out. Basically, he was saying to her, like, I tried to send you some flowers, but you wouldn't give me your address. And she was like, yeah, I'm not going to give you my address because I already know what you're trying to do. And then he was like, no, you're taking this wrong. So they're going back and forth. He's like, I'm not about to argue with you. And then she was saying, like, first of all, like, you're the one with the issues. You have feelings for somebody else that you can't sort through. You're narcissist, you're this and that. And so she was like, you're always trying to make something into what it's not, because he was trying to say like she wasn't giving her address for one reason, and she was like, no, you don't even know me like that, basically. And so then she was like, well, I'm about to come and get all my stuff. And he's like, oh, or she said, I'm about to come pack my stuff and take it. And he was like, oh, it's already packed, so you could just come get it. I was like, oh, Jeremy. And when she's going off on him talking about he had somebody else he had feelings for, and I said, girl, he had a girlfriend too. Put that part in it too, Laura. You probably didn't found out now. You probably didn't, when the reunion is in a couple weeks. I don't know if it's when they recording it, but she gonna talk about it at the reunion, hopefully. But they don't really be getting into it at the reunion, y'all. Anywho, that's that on them. She told him, I hope you go kick some effing rocks with no effing shoes on. And she walked off. I said, you better go off, Laura. You better go off, girl. So anywho, we also see this conversation between Jessica and Jimmy. And, it didn't really give like I thought it was gonna give. Like, he didn't need his EpiPen, but he definitely said she's very, very beautiful, right? And he had said she looked like a Kardashian. That's why Chelsea was getting mad because she don't look like Megan Fox. Okay. Anywho, Jessica was saying, asking Jimmy how's the process going. She's like, hey, Jimmy, and how's the process? And, how's everything going? He said, it's been okay. And he said it's been hard. And he said, he introduced Chelsea to his parents, because she's like, did she meet your parents yet? Oh my God. And he's like, yes. And he's like, that was actually the easiest part. He's like, we've had fights and all these things happening. And she was like, you be good to her. Like, look at me giving you advice. He's like, make sure you good to her and all this stuff. So she gave him good words. And she was like, "You read my letter." Something they got on the whole letter thing, and she was, "I'm not sure how you really felt about me," and she's like, "You read my letter out loud, and then you didn't say anything." I said, "It's giving very much Killing Me Softly by the Fugees." So then, he read my letter out loud. Okay, so he said, that she scared him, and so. He said he's still, you're still, my top pick. I still have feelings for you. I think he said he loves her, but I can't remember. But anyway, um, she said she was planning on coming in there like straight laced, not even, doing nothing, like being very, very like professional. But then he gave her that hug, so she was like, "Oh my god, I was about to come in here." And then I seen as I saw you, I was like, "Dang!" And so then she was like, "I was over there talking about you wasn't gonna be able to breathe and needed EpiPen. Meanwhile, I'm over here about to pass out." So they ended on a good note. It was a good conversation. It wasn't like fireworks, or it wasn't giving what I thought it was gonna give, y'all. Everybody was mature. Now, AD had a conversation with Sarah, because Sarah Ann and somebody else came down, right? So Sue Ann came in her white with them plump lips. And AD pulled her to the side. Cause she was like, girl, we Now, side note, Jimmy and Johnny told each other we won't be in these conversations with what Jeremy got going on. They said keep us away from Jeremy's drama, child. So anywho, um, AD sit on the porch and talk to her girl Sue Ann, but that ain't really her girl. She's like, okay, girl, so what's up? Because you over there sending messages to Jeremy, and you're saying, if things don't work out, hit me up, like, I'm gonna leave the door open, basically. And so Sue Ann was like, I didn't say that. And he's like, girl, I read the messages. And so then the way AD was clearing her every time, I was hollering. So anywho, now on the side, I'm like, well, AD girl, this ain't really your fight. Like, what's it to you? You kept it for Laura real hard, but okay. So anywho, or caping, I should say, not capping. So Laura said, no. Sue Ann said she felt like Jeremy was leaving the door open for her. So AD was like, girl, how was he leaving the door open? Like, girl, are you serious? Like the way she was saying it. So then she was like, no, because I could just tell by what he was saying in the positive when, he told me he was choosing her. Like I could just tell he was leaving by the way he said what he said, he was leaving the door open for me, that he wasn't really sure. Now, this the part I got all the smoke for Sue Ann for. First of all, you should not have been sending that message saying, hit me up if it ain't finna work out with you and Laura. Like, you shouldn't say that. You shouldn't even, you could say, like, hey, I appreciate getting to know you in the past. I'm sorry, it didn't work out for me. Wish you the best, blah, blah. Now, I get it, girl. You liking somebody else's man. We done all been there. But you doing a bit much. And you knew you was doing a bit much. Okay. Now, when you saying, oh, he was, I could tell by the way he said in the pod, like, girl, that's in your mind. And she told me, I'm a realist. I'm in the reality of this situation. Like, girl, no, you couldn't tell. You couldn't see his body language. All you could hear was his tone of voice and what he said. No. So then So then AD's like, girl, like, what you talking about? He left the door open, like, girl, no. And so then she was like, okay, but didn't you know when they went on the trip, on the getaway, like, when they came back from the getaway, did you think that they were broken up or together? And so then she was like, no, I knew that they were still together. She's like, exactly. So why are you sending these messages? Like, girl, you're not giving their marriage a fighting chance. And so she was like, okay, well, if they didn't have a chance, like, that's not on me. And she said that she felt like she should have fought for him in the past. She should have been like, are you sure? Because she could tell by, like, he was saying like, oh, this is really hard, I don't really know. And so then she was like, I should have said, are you sure? And she's like, I didn't want to be a pick me, because really, if you're gonna pick me, just pick me. Like, but she said she talked to him, and he was saying, well, I wish she would have said that. And so she said, I should have just fought for it. I should have went with my first mind. And so AD is like, okay, well, girl, what happened, last Saturday? When y'all was down to the bar, like, girl, what happened? She's like, okay, yeah, he came to the bar. Me and him talked for hours and hours. Okay, we had some champagne showers over some lobster towers. And, it was really good for me. I got the closure that I needed. and all this stuff. And so AD was like, but girl, like, you didn't think that wouldn't be a good idea. And so Suanne was like, you know what? I stand by my decision. Like, I swear nothing else happened. And I told him, like, you need to figure it out with Laura. Like, you really do need to figure it out with Laura. Like, all he did was give me a ride home. And AD was like, girl, well, Laura, he sent Laura his location, girl. She was like, yes, we did go to my house. Nothing happened. He dropped me off. She was like, okay, but why he come back home at 5:30 in the morning? She's like, because we were talking. Like, that's all we did. We were talking. Like, I didn't want to be in this love triangle. I don't have all this going on. And so AD was like, okay, but girl, at the end of the day, like, don't you think you should not have been interfering with this married man? Like, you are coming in between a marriage. And so Sarah Ann was like, girl, I see you got a vengeance against me, and that's fine. AD was like, girl, I ain't got nothing towards you. You ain't effing my man. I'm just saying, like, girl, it's not a good look. And so Sue Ann was like, well, girl, I really liked you in the pods, whatever. And so basically, she wasn't really giving AD the answers that AD was looking for. And AD was like, okay, girl, yes, sweetie. No, girl, I saw the text, honey. They was doing all that energy. And so they was like, yes, okay, yeah. And you were my friend at one time too. Yeah, girl, yeah. So anyway, that's where they ended. AD said, she don't really have a dog in the fight. However, she don't like the way Sue-Ann was moving. And she is Team Laura, okay? Now I'm like, girl, you still Team Laura after she's doing that bean dip stuff? But whatever. Anywho, Jeremy is wrong. At the end of the day, Jeremy was the dead wrong one for even entertaining Sarah Ann that long. Like, I'm okay if they had a conversation at the bar, but coming home that late, it's just not look good. And you were just a good look and you're just talking. It's just not a good look, Jeremy. This is not. So then Jeremy and Sarah Ann went to talk. Sarah Ann is pissed. This scene behind me, right? And so she's like, I'm just tired of everyone trying to paint this picture about me. I'm a realist. I'm being realistic about how I felt. I went the real feelings in the pod, and I'm back in reality. And I really felt what I felt. And anyone who's trying to say otherwise, they are just dead wrong. And that's not, if I'm messing up you and Laura's chance, and y'all didn't have a fighting chance anyway. And Jeremy is like, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. Yes, you're right. And he's like, to be honest, like, that is you messaging me had nothing to do with me and Laura. Like, I think what it was is that Laura was already, and I'm not blaming Laura. Laura had already pissed him off so much on that getaway with all that bean dip stuff and the way she was talking and the way she was acting when he met the parents and all that. And I feel like once Suanne swooped in there, he's like, let me swoop in and take my chance, okay? But he ain't no good because he had somebody on the side anyway. Jeremy, you just ain't no good. You was just, I agree, Lord. Go on, kick rocks with no shoes on, okay? So anywho, she was like, I do not regret what I did. I am not going to apologize. I am not sorry. I would have done it again. Talking about sending her message. I said, would you? Okay, girl. She just doesn't, everybody else feels like the timing of it was wrong, but she doesn't feel like the timing of it and what she said was wrong. And then he was like, okay, well, why are you getting so mad? You caring about what everybody thinks? And she was like, because I'm a real person, Jeremy, because I'm a person and with feelings. And he was like, you know what? F what everybody's saying, it's all good. And then she was like, okay, well, what do we do now? And so he's like, you want to go write some jet skis? And he said, it's time to move on. Then basically they like F what everybody else got going on. It's time to move on. So they went to go ride the jet skis, okay? But I feel like Jeremy's mission for today was to piss Laura off, and that's what he did, okay? Because every time we saw Laura, she was looking pissed. Now, she had her sunglasses on the whole time, but her energy was very much pissed, and I don't blame her. I don't blame her because Jeremy played in her face. He definitely played in her face. He definitely played in her face. At the end of the day, I don't care what Sue-Ann did, Laura being mean and nasty. At the end of the day, Jeremy played in that lady face, okay? Anyway, thank God we left this lake house, because it was a mess. We see Chelsea and Jimmy doing some kind of ice sculptures or something. They had them little cute date, and she says she's feels good. She's asking me, are you show? Are you show? I was like, girl, he show. Then we see at some point we saw Johnny and Amy doing some kind of little DIY project, and she said she ain't meant to be doing all that. Then we saw AD and Clay. So Clay had a little date set up for AD, and they're going on a romantic date, and he said, he feels like, he's ready to do this, he feels like she'll be a great mom and all this stuff. So his tune kind of changed from what he was talking about at the house, right? Then we do see the couples go wedding dress shopping, I believe. I feel like somebody else had a date in between there, but I can't remember. Anyway, we do see the couples do some wedding dress shopping. And there are sweet moments, nothing really to talk about in detail. AD's sisters and her niece came. The niece was super cute, and AD's dress, that second one to split. I was like, yes, girl, work that high split. I want me a high split on my wedding day too, girl. Okay, when I get me a man, y'all. Anyway, the dress Amy tried on was beautiful. The dress Chelsea picked out, I think, fit her very, very well. AD's boys were there supporting him. He said he ain't gonna cry no more. He said he feels like he's found his best friend, and AD truly is his best friend, and that's what's important. He gonna try to make it work. All right, then we see Chelsea and Jimmy go down to the amusement park. Jimmy said he used to go to this place when he was a kid. Chelsea had never been there. And so they went on these roller coasters, played games. Looks like nobody else was at the park. Was it just me? It looked like nobody else was there. Maybe Netflix rented it out. I don't know. Or they went like at the nighttime. I don't know, y'all. So then they went to have a dinner. They had a dinner set up at the park. And so then they're talking about excuse me, y'all. Then they're talking about the whole wedding day thing and their decision. And Jimmy said, I've really asked you about what your decision is. And, I don't know, what direction you're thinking about going in. So then she starts saying, well, we haven't really talked about it, my decision right now. And then they cut it off. That was where it ended, y'all. So Chelsea gonna marry him. I can't imagine Chelsea saying no. Unless something happened behind the scene we don't know about. I can't imagine her saying no, y'all. But that was the 2 episodes. Next week, this coming Wednesday, actually, we do get the wedding day. Hopefully we can do a video about that either. I know I got a meeting Wednesday night, y'all, and then I'm gonna have to do Married at First Sight. So we'll try to do that. If we know, it will be Saturday again at the latest, but I'm gonna try to do it earlier if I can. I don't know if it'll be live, depending on if the episode is good. We'll go live. If the episode, was giving what 10 and 11 was, then we definitely not going live. I'm gonna tell y'all that right now. But anyway, y'all, if you're Ready to Love fan, make sure you check out my review for that. It is already up. Also, if you are a Married at First Sight fan, or you are still struggling through this Denver season the way I am, make sure you check out that latest review. Also, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll talk to y'all again soon. Bye.